Ça va vous autres? If you were to go to Google Translate or pick up an English to French dictionary, or just ask somebody who speaks standard French the translation of the word now in French, they would most likely respond to you with maintenant. Maintenant. And that's correct. There's even people in Louisiana who use this word, maintenant, right? But when you go to the Americas, you have a phrase, and that phrase comes from à cette heure. À cette heure. À cette heure directly translates into English as at this hour. Now, when you use that in a sentence in regular conversation, that à cette heure becomes Astè. 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 Now, the Canadians, sometimes they spell it like this. But when that word gets to Louisiana, it stops being a conjunction and it develops into its own word. This is how etymology works. It moves from Astè or Astè, and it becomes still Astè. It's just spelled like this, Astè. But then you have Creole, where Astè becomes Astè. Astè. And that brings us to the Louisiana Creole word of the day, Astè. Astè, you guessed it, means now. It's a conjunction, a word that was developed from a conjunction of à cette heure. For you to better understand this is pretty much like the Louisiana Creole and French way to say right now. So you have right now, and then you have right now. Right now. Nah. Right? It's the same thing, just a different language. So that's it for today. Y'all be easy, and keep in mind that when you learn Louisiana Creole, you don't just connect to Louisiana, but you connect to the Creole speaking world. And honestly, you connect to Canada, you connect to Africa, you connect to more of the world than you may think. Shalom. Ça va vous autres? The Louisiana Creole word of the day comes from the other side of the earth. And that word is Disik. Disik comes from the sucre, and the sucre, or sucre in French, comes from sucarum, and sucarum in Latin comes from sucar in Arabic, and then it goes to other languages that I won't bother trying to pronounce. But what that word actually is sugar. Even our English word, sugar, is a variation of this pronunciation. But why am I bringing this up? Sugar is sugar, right? Actually, not quite. So the first concept of sugar, the word in the Sanskrit, if I'm pronouncing it right, was birthed out of grit or gravel. So the word sugar in their language comes from this type of grit or this type of gravel. So for us, through their eyes, we would call sugar like, oh, you want some gravel? You want some grit? Right? Something like that. Or you want some sweet gravel? Something like that. That's how the first people who were introduced to sugar that we have recorded perceive this word. Now that's a bit different than we would perceive it in Louisiana, or than we would perceive it in the United States. When we think sugar, we might think sugar cane. When we think sugar, we might think sugary cereal or sugary snacks. Sugar is a bad thing. So our concept is not exactly the same as the original people who coined the word. The pronunciation is not so different. So this is just an example of how languages change. The concept of a word, this single word, one single word, can actually change over time. And the meaning can vary depending on the culture, depending on the society. So I thought it was a good example. Now, y'all be easy, and remember, learning Louisiana Creole does not just connect you to Louisiana, but it connects you to the Creole speaking world as a whole. Shalom.